Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Within channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant, healer, and meditation teacher. And in this video, I'd like to talk about energy, but more specifically, transforming energy. Everything in the universe is energy. It always was, is, and will be. You can definitely transform energy through a visual technique that we teach in our Adventure Tools series, which is a basic meditation series we teach online via Zoom. And so, why would you have to transform energy? Well, energy can get stuck sometimes, and it's usually through resistance. It's that resistance, that fighting, that oppositional going against the grain or experience type energy, and energy gets stuck then. And so, when you learn this visual technique or perform this technique, you're essentially decharging the charge, decharging the resistance, and kind of dispelling any unwanted energy associated or related to that, and you free up your personal energy, which is nice because we all know what it feels like to be stuck, where our energy is caught in one or multiple parts of our life, or there's some frustration because the energy is just kind of pent up and things aren't moving. And we know what it feels like when our energy is in flow. There's more of a sense of ease and grace, and just things are more smooth sailing. So it is very valuable, it's an effective tool to use this so that you can clear the way and get things back to flow, to movement. So I can provide some examples where it's very easy to notice when energy is starting to shift and it's starting to slow down or come to a halt, or just the energy get kind of charged or kind of wonky. And we definitely notice that very much in our relationships with others. So, for example, in the workplace, right? Sometimes you might start off a job and things are, you have decent relations with everybody. And then perhaps over time, maybe the energy starts to shift slowly between you and another coworker. And it might be very evident of why that's happening, and sometimes it's unclear. And, maybe some causes or reasons for that could be competition. Maybe it's competing to be the best employee. That could be one thing. And sometimes that's conscious, sometimes that's very unconscious, and it just kind of plays out for different reasons. And another one might be, and this goes along with this theme of competition, that, oh, what if there is a brand new opening, a new position within this workspace, and it kind of gives an opportunity for someone to kind of elevate their status kind of in that workplace, and maybe a boost in income, a raise. And okay, now there might be that can definitely grab some people's attention and they want to go after that. And then there's a little bit of competition. So maybe where there wasn't really much of an issue between you and someone else, but suddenly both of you actually are gunning for that position. And maybe you might both be aware of that. And sometimes that can cause a rift. Maybe not always, but there's a possibility that it can. Just providing an example. And so the energy starts to get weird and wonky, and there's this tension, and it's not quite the same. So what is that? That's the energy kind of building up, and it's kind of getting up between the two of you from having maybe the connection you used to have, or the communication, the clarity amongst both of you. And so it is nice to have a tool where you can start to, oh, when you start to notice this, because we're all psychic, we're all sensitive, we start to pick up on these things. And so it's nice to have a tool where, oh, okay, I'm sensing that there's something off here. I can use this tool to start to kind of clear this weird energy, whatever it is. You might not even have to know what it is. If you start to develop your intuitive abilities more, you might have a great sense of, oh, this is definitely what the energy is. But at the very least, being able to have the tool to start to clear that energy. But energy naturally likes to move. It likes to flow. It likes to be in movement. So it will find ways to break free and to get back in movement. So in these type of situations, it's possible the way the energy tries to break through and all that and break up and clears that there might be some sort of argument between the two people. And it could just be a simple verbal argument, or whatever. And that can play out in many different ways after that argument. But one option or one possibility is that, hey, there's this verbal argument or just weirdness, and there's a conversation about it, and then finally things get smoothed over, and things are kind of back to the way they were before. Or if they're not the way they were back before, at least it's shifted in a way where it's not quite as uncomfortable as it became. And obviously, this can also pertain to romantic relationships, right? You spend a lot of time with people that you work with typically, and also someone that you might, be dating, or that your spouse, you're married with them. And there's no perfect relationship. There's always going to be, to some degree, some type of disagreement, and you'll start to notice sometimes the energy will again slowly build, or sometimes it comes out of nowhere, just depending. And again, it's usually how you work through these things is through the communication. You're getting yourselves, you're expressing your thoughts and feelings and working through that until you kind of you work through the energy and get to the same page or find resolution. But again, it is helpful to have this technique that you kind of clear the energy when you start to notice this buildup, or there's this, it just happens very seemingly out of nowhere or abruptly, and then you might need to take some time after that to, okay, I need to sit down and meditate and just clear the energy, and then so I can kind of come back and things aren't quite as charged, and it's easier to kind of be in a place to communicate and really hear one another. So that can be really effective in that type of situation. Another kind of fun, weird one would be like, think back kind of when you're younger in school. This is really noticeable more with boys, where if there's a conflict, with kids, especially boys, where there's an issue between the two of them. What did they used to do? They used to they would meet up after school, and they'd kind of duke it out. They'd have a fight, and that's more on a physical level, physical altercation, and that is a way for to energy to kind of clear or decharge. But sometimes it can get to that point where it turns into violence, and that's not something that I'm advocating or recommending. I'm just kind of pointing out, okay, that's how it has, it's played out before, where yeah, they'll get into this, the energy will build, and then they're gonna have a fight, and then sometimes, yeah, then the energy just clears, and it's not a big deal anymore. Or sometimes it might play out multiple times until the energy finally resolves and kind of clears. So energy likes to move, right? But it's nice to have a technique that you can learn in meditation, so you don't have to have things go, manifest and as far as down to a physical fight. Um, and this is something that we're all capable of doing, and it's quite a simple visual technique. And so this is something that we're teaching in an upcoming series. It starts April 22nd. It's 6 classes, 1 class per week, and this is just one topic that you'll get to learn about and explore. And it's a great way to clear energy at many different levels of consciousness and start to maybe different areas where you've been kind of stagnant or stuck, and you get to break through that, and then there's a shift, there's a change, and that's something that we're all kind of, at least most of us are looking for or seeking, is how do we get moved past this thing that's not quite working the way I want, and how do I kind of step into the new? And this definitely helps with that. But you'll learn many other tools and techniques in this adventure tool series, such as learning how to ground your body, get more present and release unwanted energy, vibrate in forgiveness, so there's greater permission to let go. You'll learn how to find your unique energy as a soul and replenish with that. That's very validating. How to heal your energy system, so the major channels and chakras in the body, with earth and cosmic energies, learning to tap into those two different energies, but are very much healing energies, and kind of run those through the energy system as a clean out, which is pretty awesome. And then where do you go when you meditate? Learning to center yourself and center yourself in a unique space in the body where you get to have access to your abilities. So that's a big one. And then, of course, like I mentioned, transforming energy, but then energy cords, learning about what are these energy cords and how do they affect us at these different levels of consciousness, and being able to make your separations and just kind of re-own re-own your chakras and kind of increase your havingness at each level, and really deepen your meditation space so that you're not taking on energy or giving energy outwards to others in the world, that you get to kind of create a space for yourself where you get to connect, get in touch with your higher self, the part of you that's not limited to this lifetime. And that's the part of you that has your blueprint of, hey, what are you here to do in this life, in this incarnation, this body life? So those are some of the tools and techniques. And you'll learn about your energy system. You'll learn about your aura and kind of the three core aspects of you as a soul, just as a basic introduction. So you'll learn about those things. And this is just a basic meditation series. Some people take that and then they're good with that, and some people, that's just the very beginning, that they take that because they want to maybe turn their clairvoyance on, because in this meditation series you start to turn your clairvoyance on, because it is very much a visual type meditation series. And then from there there's a year-long clairvoyant training if you want to go deeper down the spiritual the rabbit hole, the spiritual rabbit hole. And in that, you learn a lot more, and I can do a video on that later. But taking this Adventure Tools series is kind of a gateway into exploring, your different levels of consciousness and psychic abilities. So, hopefully, this information was helpful, and give a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you next video. Take care.